Hello guys, how you guys doing? Good? Ó, hoje nossa entrevista será com o Abner da Nova Zelândia. Muita informação, o inglês bem diferente, muito vocabulário para você. Então já deixa o like, já se inscreve no canal e vem com a gente. Together we stand. Hello guys, how you guys doing? Today we have here my great friend Abner. He lives in New Zealand. He speaks two languages, Portuguese and English, and he's here to share a little bit with us his experience of growing up in a different country, and also you guys gonna have the chance to see some different accent from the Kiwi English. Ladies and gentlemen, Abner, how's it going, my friend?
I'm fine, thank you. Hello, everyone. Hey, team. How you all doing?
Great. Hey, man, thanks for giving us this opportunity. You know, our audience, we're all gonna be we are really happy to have you here.
Thanks for having me, mate. Cheers.
Okay. All right, man. So let's get started with the questions. Abner, tell us a little bit about you. You know, who are you? What do you do? Where are you originally from? What do you do for work? Give us all the details.
Cool. So my name is Abner. I am 24 years old, soon to turn 25 in March. I grew up in New Zealand. I moved here when I was 6, originally from Campo Grande, Mato Grosso do Sul. Lived there pretty much most of my life here in New Zealand, mostly in Auckland, and then a brief stint of 5 years in Christchurch, where I studied civil engineering. I graduated. Now I work as a geotechnical engineer and currently doing some training to hopefully get into the army if I can. So that's basically me, I guess.
The military, huh?
Potentially, it's a work in progress.
Okay, man. Good luck with that. So, Abner, how was the experience of growing up in a different country?
To be fair, I moved there when I was quite young, so I can't really talk about how much of a change it was, because when you're 6 years old, like, it doesn't really change that much. I mean, it does in terms of the lifestyle, everything. However, as a child, you don't really experience that change. But definitely what I can say that was different between myself and I guess my cousins back home is that as a kid, I think growing up in a first world country, it's a little bit different in terms of like being outside. You're not as outside as much. Whereas in Brazil, you know, you get to play outside more, I guess, which is changing a bit now with technology though, because even in Brazil, the kids are staying inside nowadays. In terms of like culture, I couldn't really say too much about it because I was just too young to notice anything. But I remember being able to pick up English quite quickly. At first, there were a few incidences where it was a bit difficult for my parents. So they went through the hardest bits, leaving me at school as a kid. And at the time, unlike America, where you're from at the moment, the Brazilian migration to New Zealand is quite young. So in 2002, when we came, there were hardly any Brazilians. Like for example, I was like the first South American to go to my primary school. So you can see that there's definitely like a lack of information, a lack of support. Unlike places where, I don't know, in Massachusetts, where you've got, I don't know how many, 50,000 Brazilians maybe living there.
Oh, yes, around that, yeah.
Yeah, where you can find Brazilian food everywhere. You can find, you know, people that can help you out. So it was definitely quite hard on them because everything was quite new and basically, not that much support in terms of from our own community. So yeah, there was definitely a time where I got bullied once in school and we didn't know how to go through it. I remember having my mum coming in with like the dictionary. That was quite a scene. Her trying to communicate what had happened, finding words in a book, in a dictionary book, which was what we had back in the day. So definitely. I didn't feel much of it as a kid. Like I can't say I felt, but definitely my parents felt quite a big difference, if I can say that.
Cool. So how old were you again when you moved
to
New Zealand?
I was 6 years old. Six.
Okay.
Yeah. So I moved into July. I had turned 6 in March. So I did one month of pre, in Brazil. One
Preschool.
month of
Yeah.
pré,
Mhm.
yeah, 1 month of preschool, and then I came to New Zealand. So all my schooling's was done pretty much in New Zealand.
Got it. Got it. All right. So how was it in school? I mean, although you started going to school in New Zealand, but I believe
Mm,
you like 6, so you would already speak Portuguese back then. How was this
correct.
like to shift from one to another language? Do you have memories from that time?
Um, so as a kid, like, yeah, I won't be able to comment. Yeah, I can't really comment because yeah, you just pick it up quite quickly as a kid. As soon as kids, they're running around, and then you pick it up quite quick. So I already knew how to mostly read and write in Portuguese, so I guess that kind of helped. So
Okay.
already having known how to read and write in Portuguese at the age of 6 really helped me to already know like the what is it, the Roman alphabet that we use, right? So already knowing all the letters and stuff. But yeah, I picked it up quite like I've got pieces of paper from like the first few months of school, and I was already like writing stuff. So I guess as a kid, you pick it up pretty quick. So kids are really lucky. So if you've got a kid, teach them English quick. Teach them English at KOS if you can, and they'll pick it up in an
Thank
instant.
you. Yeah, of course.
Bring your kids to KOS.
Yeah, we can definitely help with that. Uh, how important, like in your opinion, how important it is to speak more than one language, and also how did it help you in the opportunities you had?
That cannot be overstated. That cannot be overstated. I mean, speaking two languages is like the best thing that can happen to someone. I'm so grateful to the Lord for having this opportunity to be able to speak two languages. Like just being able to, you can see because language and culture intertwine. So being able to see things in two different ways, different words to express yourself. One major advantage that I can find, like something that's tangible, I guess, is I write a lot of reports. And I did
Mhm.
uni, I wrote a lot of reports. So I do a lot of writing.
What is uni
And
for people that do not understand?
uni is what the Americans call college. So uni for us is university, uni.
Okay.
So at uni, I wrote a lot of papers and stuff. So just being able to, to get to a sentence that you can't complete, or when you get stuck in a sentence, but you know how to say something in Portuguese, so then you can just mix. And sometimes you
Mhm.
know how to say something in English, but you don't know how to say it in Portuguese, and that just helps you basically double your vocabulary, and you can express yourself a lot better by knowing two languages. It's amazing, like just the fact that yeah, and you can use these big words in English that in Portuguese aren't considered big words. I can't think of something like now. I don't know. In Portuguese, we say a lot like something like enorme. Esse negócio é enorme. And then in English, you would say this is enormous. It sounds fancy, right? So you can get that step ahead among other people because you know different words, And we're very lucky that Portuguese and English, all come from the same family of languages. So it can't be understated or overstated. It's just amazing to be able to think in different ways, I guess.
Good. And by speaking a second language, did you have more opportunities, even maybe like for work, or I don't know, maybe even in school or your traveling experience?
Yes, definitely. In New Zealand, not so much because English is the lingua franca, right? So if you've got English, Portuguese doesn't add too much. It does in like the networking and the people you can know and stuff. But I must say, if you're already living in, at least in my role as a geotechnical engineer, it's not doesn't add too much, but it's definitely there. It helps me in what I said and being able to communicate um, indirectly, I guess. But definitely in traveling, just being able to move around because if you know how to speak English, then you can move around places, So because everywhere you go, things are in English. Just now, I'm returning from Brazil in December. I flew on Qatar Airways. So in Qatar
Mhm.
Airways, all their announcements are in English and Arabic. So if you don't know either of the two, then you're pretty much screwed, right? So you can see a lot of the people in the plane when they tell you don't get up because of COVID. Wait up for your line to vacate the plane, and then when the plane stops, everyone gets up at the same time. You
Yeah.
can see how helpful English is, right? It can save
It, it
lives.
it happens here in America when you have all Americans in the planes in the flight, so it's no big deal. It happens here too. I I just flew back from Chicago last weekend and it was the same thing.
Oh, okay, so it's not a
Yeah.
language thing then. It's
No, it's
just
not a language thing. All right. Speaking of traveling, if you could share with us a little bit of your traveling experiences, like maybe how many places you've been, like in countries, how many countries you visited.
I've been to a few countries, not too many. As a kid, the first time that my parents came to New Zealand, we actually caught a bus from Campo Grande to all the way to Argentina. So going through Paraguay, that was an interesting experience. Just getting there and having to as soon as we got off the bus, had these two police guards take us in with rifles, and then just asking us for bribes, and eventually they let us go. Then we were able to get on the bus to Argentina. When we got to Argentina, the first thing they asked my father is, who is better, Pelé or Maradona? And my dad having to pull the smarts and they had to say Maradona just to get through. It was interesting. So you had to pay less money to get through. Then the Lord prepared. We went to Chile as well, in Santiago. Then we finally, after spending a few days in Santiago, came into Auckland. Then I stayed most of my life in Auckland. Then the first travel that I did after being a child was a few times to Brazil. I've been to Brazil a few times growing up. And then in 2014, I spent a month in Japan. So I don't know if the audience knows, but I also studied a bit of Japanese. I did 1 year of Japanese at uni, and I also studied it in high school. But I was just, if you don't practice, then practice is everything. Make sure you get a mentor, someone like KOS, which is just, you've got to use it. If you don't, it's just like working out. You go to the gym, and if you stop working out, you're going to lose those gains. You're going to lose it. So make sure you've got someone to speak to. You've got someone to be communicating all the time. It's really important. So at the time, I had a decent amount of Japanese under my belt. I was able to get around. It was really fun experience. Huge culture shock. Huge. I mean, if you were trying to get the culture shock answer of me moving to New Zealand as a kid, I didn't experience it much. But going to Japan, completely different. It's just everything's different. And then in 2018, I went to America. That's when I met Kyle. Had good times. And and then I returned again. Was it last year? 2019, returned to America again. That's how much I liked America. Yeah. So that's pretty much me. In Australia, been to Sydney.
Yes, and
that's interesting. It's good if you know how to speak English, you can get around.
Yes, definitely. A year ago, we were together for my birthday. Today that we are recording this interview here is January 3rd. Last year, we were together for my birthday. All right. So nice. Tell us a little. Hey, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Tell us about your experience at uni. How was it like? Like the experience of going to university. How are universities in New Zealand?
Universities in New Zealand are cheap. They're really cheap. The government subsidizes your education here. So even now with the current government, they introduced a new bill as soon as they came in. So it's been 3 years since we've had it, I think. So your first year of uni is free. And prior to that, so when I studied, all of our years were subsidized by the government. So I think we only pay, it's either half or it's a third. But I know it came out at about like 9K, 8K a year at the time. And where the full price is more like 24K. So that's what the international students would be paying if they're coming to New Zealand to study at uni, 25K for uni. Whereas if you're a domestic student, then it's about 8 to 10K depending on the course. So it's quite cheap, and you can get student loans here which are interest-free. So that's like a huge bonus. So the opportunities are there for you to take it. So interest-free loans. In terms of the unis, they're pretty good. I think only one of ours make the top 10, the University of Auckland. That's not the one I went to. I went to Canterbury, very much focused on earthquake engineering. I don't know if you know, in 2012 and 2011, we had huge earthquakes in Christchurch. I think 180 people lost their lives. So and we had a lot of infrastructure damage due to phenomena like liquefaction. So there's a huge field there for study in terms of geotechnical engineering, which is what I do, which is basically engineering of soils, working with the ground, foundations of bridges, tunnels, all that stuff. That's what geotechs do. So it's very interesting. 4 years was my course. Not many Brazilians, heaps of a lot of Asians, a lot of Pacific Islanders, and New Zealand offers a lot of scholarships for Pacific Islanders. But yeah, it was quite good. Very good facilities in general. Very inclusive. No complaints really. It was interesting.
Do they have like dorms and stuff like here in America? Like on the
We call them halls.
I know, right?
We call them halls. The halls of residence.
Halls are houses, the dorms, guys. You know, for all the American English speakers out there, it's how he's talking about houses, dorms. You know, it's not that people
Halls. Halls.
Oh, halls.
Halls. Halls.
Oh, okay. My bad. I apologize. But that's the reference, you know. It's not. I remember the first time he mentioned that, we all understood that he was saying that people used to live in holes, like as if they would live on the floor and the ground, you know.
No, halls of residence.
Got it. Just so you guys, you know, that's why that's our intention with this interviews we are having, is to show the different and wide variety of English, you know, for the vocabulary, especially vocabulary. We've had some interviews with people from England, people from the US. So if this is your first time here on our YouTube channel, there's some other interviews that you can check it out too. All right, Abner, and what made you choose engineering? Like you always wanted since you were a kid? How was that choice? What made you choose engineering?
So growing up in year 13, which is your last year of school, high school, I wanted to join the Air Force. Unfortunately, I didn't get in. So then the other two options was I was decent at math and physics. So then I ended up thinking I'd like drawing. I was quite decent at drawing at the time as well. So I said, I'm either going to do architecture or engineering, and then ended up doing engineering. So when I joined engineering, I thought of doing structural engineering. But in my last year, I ended up taking some geotech papers. So then I ended up doing geotechnical engineering in the end, which I'm enjoying quite a lot. 2 years in now.
Great. Awesome. That's awesome, bro. So just give us an overview of New Zealand. How's it like the size, the population, like demographics, the weather, and also, if you can, a little bit of the political situation in New Zealand. How's it like?
Cool. So New Zealand is comprised of two main islands, the North Island and the South Island. Quite easy. The biggest city is Auckland, which is where I'm from, which is in the North Island. The whole country's population is 5 million. But from memory, I think 1.5 million people live in Auckland. So a third of the population live in Auckland, which is basically the metropolis. Then you've got Wellington, which is at the southern end of the North Island, and that's the capital city. And I'm going to guess here, I think it's about 400,000, their population. And then the South Island, the biggest city is Christchurch, which is the city where I studied and the city that had the earthquake and that had the mosque attacks, sadly, in March 2019, which will be the second anniversary soon, which is quite sad. I think 52 people lost their lives in that terrorist attack. So that's the country is bicultural. We've got the European culture and the Maori culture. They did something really well over here, where they signed the Treaty of Waitangi. It's not great. It's not a perfect treaty, but on the 6th of February 1840, the Europeans signed a treaty with the indigenous, with most of the indigenous tribes, the Maori, which is what we call them. And basically that made them British subjects. It set out a few rules about who owned the land, et cetera, how people would be treated. And that basically was a good foundation for how the country would run in the future. Of course, it wasn't perfect. There was still mistreatment of Maori people going through to the early 19th century. The language was banned in the beginning of the 20th century, etc. Eventually, things became more, better for them. and there's still a lot of social inequality that can't be understated. But in general, compared to other countries, say like Brazil, where we're from, where the indigenous presence is quite limited, or even the US, where a vast majority of them were sadly eliminated during the conquests. In New Zealand, they make up a significant portion of the population. We learn their languages in our school. The Maori language, we learn, the greetings. We learn their traditional the haka, which you're aware of. There's songs, to the point where even our national anthem is first verse is sung in Maori, and then the second verse is sung in English, along with them having a television channel. Just a significant presence wherever you go, even in I guess everything. So it's bicultural country, and then there's also a lot of diversity as well here, with a lot of we get a lot of Chinese migrants, both from recent migration from the 90s and 2000, but also we had the Chinese migrating here in I'm going to guess the late 1800s during the gold rush in the South Island. So we have quite an old Chinese population as well. Indians, Filipinos, and a lot of expats from UK and Australia also migrate here as well. Yeah.
Wow, it's a lot of information, huh, guys? Weather-wise,
Weather-wise, can be quite cold in the South Island. So it gets really cold in the South Island, sub-zero temperatures, and then the North Island, where you've got almost tropical but not tropical. So highs of 30s in summer, I'd say. Highs of 30 in summer, and then where I'm from, lows of about 0 to 2 to 3 degrees in winter. It's
that's quite good. Celsius, right? Celsius,
in true temperature.
Well, just so you know, guys, here in America, the temperature is in Fahrenheit, right? Okay, my friend. So, guys, now we are heading to the end of our interview with my great friend Abner. But before, we'll have the we chat. So, guys, we know I already explained it so many times what this we means, and it's thanks to this guy here. It was who introduced me to it. It was this term that they use in New Zealand, right? For quick, right?
More like small.
Oh, okay.
More like small. Like, I guess you could say a small talk. We could
small talk, quick chat, we chat. Yep.
Yeah.
So we kind of adapt it. So it's thanks to him, guys. It's his fault. all credits due to Abner. All right, my friend. So it's gonna be quick questions and quick answers. Okay. So
sure. Couple already took too much.
Yes, right. That's you, man. That's you. All right. So summer, autumn, spring, or winter?
Summer.
Beach or mountain?
Mountain.
City or country?
Country.
New Zealand or Brazil?
Ooh. Pass.
Okay, half and half. Okay, 50-50. All right. I mean, you already went to Brazil, but is there any other place that you'd like to visit after the pandemic?
Europe or Africa.
Okay. Greatest place you've ever been? It can be a country or a city or a town.
Tongariro crossing. It's a crossing in New Zealand where you cross between, it's a walk that takes about 8 hours. Wow. And you cross between 3 volcanoes, in the middle of 3 volcanoes. Beautiful, amazing. Search it up, Tongariro awesome. Crossing. Yeah. That's the Lord of the Rings was filmed there. Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Twin sure. Towers. Oh. Favorite dish from the New Zealand cuisine culinary?
Steak and cheese pie. A
dream can be in your general life, in general, or in your career.
Get married. Have kids.
Okay.
3 kids.
Have a family.
Yeah.
Awesome. One regret.
Not practicing Japanese enough to the point that I've forgotten it.
Got it. Your favorite Brazilian dish?
Coxinha. No. Pizza, frango catupiry.
Oh,
both
man, really?
tied.
Okay,
Both,
yeah.
I guess.
Coxinha
Both.
is pretty similar to a frango com catupiry pizza. All right, guys. So that was Abner for us. So Abner, if you want to give some final words for us, and or maybe invite people to go to New Zealand, feel free, my friend.
Sure. Can I just give them a few words that we use here in New Zealand that they might not know about?
Sure, of course. Go for it.
Cool. So I was just thinking. So a dairy is a place that you go. It's like a convenience store. Okay. Like a corner shop, like mercadinho in Portuguese. A dairy.
Okay.
So you go to the dairy, and then that's where you used to go to buy milk. That's why you called it a dairy. But there you can buy everything: cigarettes, soft drinks. So that's where you buy the steak and cheese pie from the dairy. A batch. Do you know what that is? A batch.
No, not in New Zealand.
A batch is a place that you go, like a summer home. Like I live like a summer home to spend the holidays. Like I own a batch in, I don't know, Newport. You know how a lot of people own their houses in Newport, but they don't live there. So like a batch there. Jandals. Do you know what that is? Jandals?
Jandals?
Yep.
No, sir.
Jandals is what you used to go to the beach with. Chanel. Jandals. We go to jandals.
Wow. Okay. What else you got for us?
Togs.
Togs.
You don't know what that is?
No idea.
What language do you speak, Kyle? Togs.
I mean, I speak American English.
Togs is what we use. It's like your bathing clothes, what you used to go to the pools with. Your togs. Your clothes to swim in are called togs.
Your swimming suit.
Yeah.
Bathing suit.
Mm-hmm. Bathing suit.
Okay.
Do you know what kia ora is? This one you know. Kia ora.
Kia ora. No.
Kia ora means hello in Māori. You'll hear it a lot as a greeting. Everywhere you go, we say kia ora, bro. Means hello. It means hello in Māori. So say kia ora, bro. Bro, just bro. And that's quite clear. And the last one, stoked. You know what stoked means?
Stoked?
Yeah.
No.
Happy. Like I'm stoked to be having this interview right now. It was a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm really stoked.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We are stoked to have you here. So thank you so much for this opportunity and for spending this time with us. And that's going to be pretty cool for our subscribers. So please, guys, if you liked this interview and you want more, so please like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends, that maybe are also learning English. And so you gotta have more. So you have more opportunities like this to, one, practice your English and also learn about the culture and different countries around the world as well. All right? Thanks, mate.
Cheers, boss.
Together we stand, guys. Woo!